Many of us struggle with this idea of why are we here on this planet? What is the purpose of our existence? Many a times the answer comes doing our best. In each field, whatever we are, maybe we are doctors, maybe you are IT professionals, maybe you are businessmen, you are homemaker, you're a farmer, doing your task as best as possible. Anything less will always make your heart heavier, filled with guilt, not having reached your full potential. And that spoils the consciousness. Guilt is the biggest weight on our consciousness. When we read all this literature and when we contemplate on all this, one thing stands out very strongly, that our existence, as we see this life in the physical body, there is invisible mental body, and often impalpable subtle body called the causal. Physical body, now fundamental question arises, can it evolve? If the purpose of life is evolution, can the body evolve? I may like to swim like a dolphin and fly like an eagle, but how many years, millions and millions of years it can take for me to fulfill my dream of flying or swimming like dolphin? I don't have millions of years at my disposal. At the limited age frame that I have, I can only age and decay. So physical body definitely cannot evolve. It can only age. Next thing, let's talk about the soul, the cause of our existence. Whether you call it soul or whether you call it life force, but something keeps us going. Whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe in soul or not, that is not the question. But one fundamental fact remains that there is something within me that keeps me alive. People call it Atman, soul. Many names are there. Science says it's a life force. So let's stick to that, whatever makes you happy. All our literature, ancient literature says soul, the life force, remains the way it is. It is eternal. It is pure in itself. There is nothing you can add to it. No possibility of evolution. So both the ends, the physical body as well as the causal body, they cannot evolve. Then what evolution are we talking about? We're talking of evolution of consciousness. That is possible. Then in order to understand this consciousness, what becomes of this consciousness? If you see this slide, there's a larger circle that represents consciousness. And within its terrain, there is intellect, there is mind, and there is ego. The field of consciousness is affected by all these lower circles of intellect, mind, and ego. Consciousness keeps changing from the animal level of existence to human level of existence to divine level of existence, and much more beyond that. Consciousness is affected by our intellect, our mind, the way we think, the way we feel also, and how this ego interferes or refines our consciousness. So let's study what becomes of mind, for example. If consciousness has to evolve, the other three things and many other aspects related to consciousness field has to be studied. We're going to touch only on these three aspects: intellect, mind, and ego. What becomes of intellect? What becomes of mind? And what becomes of ego at the pinnacle of evolution of consciousness? Mind. So in order to understand the evolution of mind, we have to understand the function of the mind. Function is to think. Function of the mind is to think. What becomes of it when it is fully evolved? It remains in resonance with the heart. Mind eclipses with individual heart. Mind moves away from mere thinking into instant feeling. Let me share with you something. When you are countering some problems in life, you become morose and you keep brooding over it for days or months together until your mother or your spouse or your sister notices it. They begin asking you, "Oh, what is wrong with you?" And you may share the problem that you have with them. Often they come up with an instant solution even before you finish your questions on the problem. How does that happen? How does your mother is able to feel the problem, or your wife feels the problem and comes up with a solution which you could not solve by continuous thinking or brooding over it? Problems can easily be solved by feeling the problem. Likewise, experiencing. When we meditate with thought, idea of the thought. And what is the thought? We think that the divine presence is there in my heart. It's a thought. But as the process unfolds during meditation, we move away from thinking to feeling. There is a little step or larger, greater steps we take during meditation where thought is actualized in the form of experience. That is the progress of the mind, when it moves away from thinking to instant feeling. You think of God and instantly you are able to feel. You think of your beloved, you are feeling the essence, the vibratory pattern of your beloved right in you. Likewise, the intellect. Intellect, what becomes of intellect as it evolves? Psychology says intellect, when it matures, becomes intelligence. When intelligence matures, it becomes intuition. When intuition evolves, it becomes wisdom. There are no special words to quote what becomes of wisdom when it evolves. There are no words for it. Likewise, ego. What becomes of ego? Is there anything like ego at all? Yes. Ego can be your best friend, just as mind can be your best friend, as well as your worst enemy. Many people who meditate, they are tormented because they are not able to regulate their mind, and they begin to consider, I have been victimized by my own mind. My mind doesn't stop thinking rubbish. Likewise, ego. I can prevail upon anyone with ego and become the target of their hatred. Will that help me evolve? When many people hate you because you are so egoistic, What becomes of your consciousness? Think over it. If you're a musician, for example, and you are good at playing a flute, and you share this knowledge with people in Auroville, oh, I can play flute, and immediately Sister Jayanti will say, why don't you come and perform? You go to Pondicherry at Auroville and start performing your flute. Fine. Is it egoistic to say, I'm a flutist? No. It's a fact. If you're a doctor and you say you're a doctor, there is no ego about it. It's a statement of fact. It is what it is. Once you perform your flute recital at Pondicherry, at Auroville, everyone they're on their feet and clapping away for a few minutes, you feel so much of satisfaction in your heart that, wow, I did well. The next day, you are invited again. Would you be happy with your yesterday's performance or today's performance? You will like to surpass your own performance. So here, the very idea that I would like to surpass my own performance that was yesterday, I can become even better. So, ego is now utilized in your own individual transformation of your talent. You are taking your own talent to a next level. That is improvisation. But to say that nobody is better than me in entire India in playing the flute, I am the best, no one is better than me, then it is arrogance. So ego can manifest with many faces, it can show many faces. It is up to us how to transcend the mind, the intellect and ego and affect this field of consciousness. Wrong thinking of the mind, applying wrong intelligence to logic and blatantly becoming arrogant. What becomes of consciousness? It will shrink, it will contract. Per contra, when you do find or you come across that eureka moment like Archimedes, the intelligence, the thinking and the ego, he did not even realize that he was naked in the tub and started running eureka, eureka, eureka. He was not even conscious of himself. What becomes of consciousness then? It simply skyrockets. It is at its pinnacle.